Happy Wednesday. I am so excited for today. I'm back again with Kay Walker. She's going to be joining us in a minute. And what we're going to go over today, because I'm super excited about this. So we've been talking about this for a little while. Basically, what would you do if you had to restart your land business or reboot or start a land business today, right? What would you do? Like, I know a lot of people that are coming in here, maybe they're struggling, maybe they're having hard times in their land business. They don't know what to do. They feel stuck, right? Or maybe they're just trying to get started, but they just don't know where to start, right? I mean, I know there's tons of education. There's LIA. There's everything to kind of like teach everybody this stuff. But at the end of the day, you still need to pull the trigger, right? So I got Kay with me today, and she's an awesome land investor. She got started in this, I think it's about 9 months ago now, and she's crushing it. She's really crushing it. And I think the reason why she's crushing it is because she's fixated, really just focused on building this business, learning every aspect of it. She sends the mail by herself. She has her own mail house, essentially in her office space, and it is wildly successful because of that, right? Because she's tuned into every single little part of her business. So I'm super excited today to talk to Kay about this. And what we're going to do is a 3-part series. The 3-part series is basically going to go over all the little things. So I'm going to bring Kay on, and we're going to do a little intro of like who I am, who she is, and all that stuff. So I got Kay here. Kay, what's up?
Hello.
How we doing? I just broke down a little bit about what we're going to be doing. But quickly, who are you? Who is Kay Walker? Why are we doing this?
We rehearsed this, Dennis. I was going to ask you first. Okay, I'll go
You're
first.
right. I know you're right.
Oh God. But really excited about this episode, and then the next 2. Dennis probably told you guys we're doing like a 3-part series geared toward new folks that maybe haven't started in the industry yet, or existing folks that are in the land flipping industry and that kind of maybe need to switch gears or pivot. So I am relatively new to the industry, so you're going to get my perspective. I've been in it now 9 months, 9 months now in it. And so I do direct mail. Let me back up a little bit. Before I was in this, I did short-term rentals. I ran a short-term rental company. We had over 100 properties across 2 states. And it was a little chaotic. It was a crazy business. But I learned a lot from it. Yeah, learned a lot from it, and I wanted something a little more calm. And so started looking into land, and then bought some land and thought I was going to develop it. Mm-hmm. And then realized everything that is involved with developing land. Took a course. I'm really big on education. And I realized the piece of land that I bought that I was going to build on was worth more than what I bought it for. Mm-hmm. It was worth about double. Put it on the MLS and sold it instead of developing it. Doubled my money. Woo. And that was here where I am in Charlotte. Yeah. You get that taste and you're like, okay, I can do this. Like this is good. And so I went down the education, journey and took a few courses. Ultimately ended up in the LIA community, and and here I am. So, and just a little a quick story, just going back even further. When I first moved to North Carolina, I graduated high school in upstate New York, and in love with my high school sweetheart. I moved here. We had, I was a teen mom, which was crazy. And on assistance, anything that you could think of, like that was, 2005, so it has been a very, very long journey from that to, getting in corporate, being there, kind of climbing that corporate ladder, and then, going into the entrepreneur world, and now I'm in land. So it has been quite a quite a journey for me. So,
yeah. It's the Airbnb space is tough, and it's really hard to like do that at scale. Like, to be honest with you, I am like,
it's busy.
in awe that you did that, because I would not want to do that. Like, manage all those rentals and all that stuff. No freaking way. And just the fact that like you grew up from where you were to where you are now, it's just amazing, right? Because anybody could do this. It's just, you have to have the drive and determination. It's not, I don't have the money, I don't have the this, I don't have the that. Yeah, I get it. You do need a little capital to get this started, but there's ways to get like, push yourself into deals without needing money. You could go work for somebody else that's doing this and just learn how they're doing it, right? Be their grunt man. If you're local to a market, be like, hey, I live in X, Y, and Z market. I want to help you. Like, I want to be part of land. I don't have money. Good. I want to do this for you. Like, there are ways you could do it, right?
Yeah.
And, hopping into groups like the Land Investor Accelerated group, the LIA group, in Facebook or on Discord, either one. Links are all down below. Hop in there and just be like, I'm from X, Y, and Z town. I'm here. I live here. If you guys are flipping land out here, I will go walk properties. I will do whatever, all that stuff, right? And then just sell yourself to that. And start. That's how you could get in, and then get your foot in the door. Start showing ambition. Start showing that I'm going to work for you, and then you'll start getting a little piece of deals, and that's how it works. So like, there's ways to make money in this without being the owner or operator. You know what I mean?
1,000%. Like, it doesn't matter. And I just said that really quick, high level story to just say, like, it really doesn't matter where you start.
No,
like,
it's true.
Coming to North Carolina, teen mom on assistance, like, and now, here I am. So it always hasn't been like that. You just
had what, a 6-figure month?
Yeah, this is my first 6-figure month.
I mean, crazy, right?
Yeah.
6-figure month, and not even like a small 6-figure, not like a 101,000. Like, you had like a full-on 6-figure month. You know what I mean? Like, you crushed it, which is amazing. Because if you think about that, that's more the average salary in like the US is like less than 60 grand or whatever. I think it's like disgustingly low. I think it's like average is like 35. I got to look it up again. It's been a while. You just made that in a month, like tripled that in a month.
Yeah. It's crazy. You start setting these little goals in your life. And I know people like you may even look back and say, man, you remember you had that goal of making 50,000 a year, and that was your goal, and you're really excited about it. And then you make it, and then you have another goal. You keep building upon that, I remember growing up, I was just like, man, I just want to make 50,000 a year. Like, that's going to be great. It's going to be fantastic.
1,000 a week.
Learn. Not a lot of money. When you get there, and then you in corporate, and I'm like, okay, I'm going to make 6 figures in corporate. Made 6 figures in corporate, and then I'm like, okay, time to start, in short-term rentals. Did that and made a bunch, and it's just. You set those goals and you reach those pain points, but you push past them, and all that skill and that experience that you gain pushing past those pain points, you just grow. Just grow. Yep. So this can start anywhere.
This is such a great business for early entrepreneurs too, because you're dealing with, instead of you're not selling a product to somebody, you're the buyer, right? So it's a lot different. You're selling yourself to them. So it's going to teach you really to be really good at sales. It's going to teach you to really be humble, right? And actually engage with people, talk to people and stuff like that. You start with this business, you make money in it. You could continue with it, or you could automate it and put somebody else in its seat and then go run and do whatever other business you want. You just got to get started today. So it's kind of what we want to talk about. But so yeah, that's kind of where we're at. So Kay, thank you for sharing your backstory. I appreciate it.
Yeah. So it's time to share yours, Dennis.
So I am a typical serial entrepreneur. I've always wanted to run businesses and start them. So since I was a little kid, and I was like 13 years old, I started, before that, I was like mowing lawns, whatever, because I had to, because I was a kid. 13 years old, I started a business, and then I started like a t-shirt business, and I was like selling custom t-shirts with like, so I basically like take like, the gossip of the school or like the latest news articles or whatever. And like, I would print a t-shirt the next day and be wearing it. Like, that was like my thing. Right. And people would like all want to buy it and whatever. It was funny. So that was like my first business. And then, I started like a little clothing brand that went nowhere. And then, I just consistently kept starting stuff. I became a mechanic at like 16 years old. I started doing on-site auto repair. I go to people's houses and like work on their cars in like the middle of the street. I almost got hit by a car one day, and I'm like, okay, I got to stop doing this. Changing somebody's brakes on the side of a road. I'm like, yeah, I got to stop doing this. So I stopped doing that. I got into the electrical union, and then I was like, okay, I got a pension, I got health insurance, all this stuff. Great, awesome stuff. Now I'm like, still like, I have this like entrepreneur bug, right? When you get it, you can't. It's actually like an addiction, right? You can't get away from it. So
can't shake it.
No. So I ended up starting a party rental business. I would do bounce houses, inflatables, all this stuff. And got into that. And then I was doing this stuff and I'm like, this is cool. This is great. I was making like 20, 30 grand on a weekend. And I'm like, this is amazing. But then like, it was so hard. I was like 18 years old, 19 years old doing this. And I'm employing like 30 or 40-year-olds to do this stuff. Right. I could like barely, whatever. It was nuts. People wouldn't show up. I'd have to go pick up the rides myself at like 10 o'clock at night. I'm going to like pick up a ride, roll it up, throw it in the back of my truck, going to the next house in the morning, delivering it, like clean. It was nuts. So ended up sold that business, got rid of everything. And then I'm in the electrical union. I'm like, I want to get into real estate. How do I do that? So just so happens, talk to a guy and he's like, hey, you want to flip a house with me? I'm like, sure. I don't know what the hell I'm doing. So I start doing that. This is the long-winded, like how my whole entrepreneur story, but got into that, started flipping houses, started doing all this stuff. We were, rewiring houses. I was the electrician. He would do all the other stuff. His brother was a mortgage guy. He would get the houses, whatever. Did a whole hundreds of houses, a lot of them over the years. And then I was like, I want to do my own. So I started flipping my own houses. Went great, all this stuff. But then I started realizing like, I want to go bigger. How do I go bigger? So I started looking into multifamily, hotels, things like that, and just kept growing. So I ended up going out to Tennessee. I talk about this a lot. I was looking at this 120 unit hotel in Tennessee in Townsend, which is right outside of Sevierville, in Sevier, Texas. Sevier, Tennessee. Everybody knows that, like Smoky Mountains. So looking at this hotel, it's like a buy for $5 million. I'll put $1 million into it, sell it for like $7-8 million in a year or two. Once we get it fully operational, cool. Well, I'm out there and I'm talking to this guy who's got the option on it. And I was like, he's like, knows everything about it. I'm like, dude, why don't you just keep this? He's like, I don't do that. I do land. I'm like, land. Meanwhile, I've been in real estate at this point, like 15 years. And I'm like, why would you do land? Like land's boring. It's like, what can you do on it? He's like, come by one of my properties. I'll show you tomorrow. So I go by next day. He gives me his G-Wagon to drive around. And then the next day I pull up to his property. He gives me the address. And I show up and I'm like, the hell? So I'm looking at this. He just like bought the side of a mountain. He's got this full subdivision here. And he's like, yeah, I bought this for $400,000. I'm like, wow, that's pretty cool. And he's like, yeah, we built all the roads. We did all this. We subdivided all the lots out. I have people come in. They build these like short-term rentals. It's like a 6,000 square foot short-term rental with a pool in the basement. All crazy. I'm like, that's amazing. He's like, yeah, so, I've been doing this for like 3 years. This site, I've made about $12 million. I'm like, I was like blown the frick away. I'm like,
yeah.
What? So that kind of like got me to think, I'm like, how is this guy making $12 million on land? And he's not developing, he's not building, he's not doing any of that stuff. He's just the coordinator and the subdivider. That's it. All he did. And I'm like, this is crazy. So went down the rabbit hole. I'm like, okay. Started learning about land, found LIA, got into LIA, started teaching sales in LIA and all that stuff. And I'm like, really started like getting into this. And I'm like, I really like love land. I love the simplicity of it. I've been wholesaling houses, flipping them. And I started figuring out like my average, like how much I was making, my ROE, my return on effort. What is my ROE, right? My return on effort on houses, I was about making like $300 an hour, right? When I flip a house, because I'm sitting there and I would, between every like a house, I'd make like $30,000, right? But it would take me like 100 hours to get it done, right? So I'd have to sit there and like do this X, Y, Z.
So you did the physical work in the house, Dennis? Like
no, I managed the project. So I would make sure like I used to do all the work, but then I stopped. Now I started managing them. But now it's like from acquisition to disposition, it would take me over 100 hours, sometimes 300 hours or more, whatever, depending on the house, just to coordinate. what tile are we? What are we doing here? What are we doing paint? What's wrong over here?
Right.
Showing up here, doing that, walking through this, talking to the cell, like all this stuff, right? Forever. And then I started looking at land. I'm like, okay, I started doing deals, and then I realized I'm making 40 grand per deal. Pretty much, it's like my average is 40,000, and it takes me like 4 to 5 hours per deal from acquisition to disposition. Because really, you're giving it to like realtors to list it. Droners doing this, you're doing that. Like there's not a lot of like time involvement per deal, right? Because there's no like the infrastructure that I have to deal with, right? I'm like, my return on effort is like $10,000 per hour now.
Yeah.
So what the hell am I doing? So I just stopped everything else, and I'm like, let's just focus on land. And I stopped doing my flips. I mean, occasionally if one comes along, I'll do it. Like I did 4 last year just because they came along. They were decent deals. So I did 4. And like that's pretty much it. So I'm like, I'm all in on this now. I love land, and I'm getting more into like the subdivides and development space. And I'm basically going to tie back together like my flipping love and my land and tie it all together and start building developments. Like my eventual goal I really want to get into is building like full subdivisions and everything like that. I know one way I could do that is like going to work for a builder, but it's kind of like one of those things, like kind of what you're doing with your land business is like you learn every little aspect of it so you could just be better, right? Yeah. Maybe I'm not going to be like the big guys, whatever, one day, like Ryan Holmes or anything like that. But
maybe you will, Dennis, though. Maybe you will.
Yeah. Like, I'm okay if, like, if I just build one cool like subdivision that's my own that I get to name the roads after my daughters, like that's it. I'm good.
Yeah, that's true.
You know what I mean? Like I'm happy with that. So that's pretty much it. But I'm constantly addicted to starting businesses. We have, oh my God, I got my land business. Now I have a cleaning business that we started. I help my wife and her cookie business. And then I have my kids started a gumball business where they put gumball machines in places, and we set them up and everything like that. So like I'm addicted to it, and unfortunately my kids are going to be addicted to it now.
Yeah, you're giving them the entrepreneur bug.
It's a good and bad thing. There's a lot of struggles with being an entrepreneur, and it's not like a 9 to 5 where you just do your thing, like the corporate ladder thing, right? You're always doing some crazy stuff. So
a lot of struggles, a lot of rewards, though. Yeah.
So. Yeah, when you get the big wins, the highs are highs, but the lows are lows. Yeah. There's a lot of differences. So what all this comes to be is like, I wanted to do this with Kay because I wanted to go over, like how do I reinvent myself? How does anybody reinvent themselves in their land business or any business really? We all, it's not all sunshine and roses every time. Like, now I'm actually going back. I'm reinventing part of my land business. I feel like we have to reiterate almost every year, change things, right? Yeah. So I'm doing a little bit of that right now myself, and I'm getting back on the phones. I'm getting back into market selection because I feel like I let pieces go too fast, and things changed in my business. And KPIs in this business typically are 6 months delayed. So a change today, you won't see that change for 6 months, like realized. So my 12-month changes that I did last year, I'm seeing the negative effects of it today. So now I got to go back and reinvent something. So I want to do this with you because of your experiences right now. But this is also a great video for anybody who is looking to start or restart, reboot your business, because it's really going to help you like just kind of reset. So we're going to do a 3-part video. Kay's got an awesome guideline. We're going to kind of like go down, not like an exact like written down, but good guideline. And we're going to start with, Kay, we'll let you lead it off. Let's start with this. What is land investing? What are we doing here?
Yeah. What are we doing? So let me pull up my little guide here that I wrote 15 minutes before the call.
That's perfect. ADHD minds were all over scatterbrains. So like,
we're all over.
Blah, 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 blah. Yeah. Tangents. Yeah. So
yeah.
Hey guys, please drop comments, drop anything, whatever you can do, like it, follow it, do all the good stuff, because next week we want people to come on and do some Q&A with this. So drop some comments today. We'll answer any questions you got today. We're going to go till 3:30 today. So you have 45 minutes to drop your questions, comments, and everything like that. We're going to answer them throughout our call. I'll bring them up on screen, all that stuff. Next week, we'll bring you back and you can actually hang out with us and talk and stuff like that. So,
yes. Can I see the comments, Dennis, on my side?
Yeah, you should be able to see it on the right side. I don't know what your side looks like, but there should be the comment section on the.
Okay, yep. It gives me an option to join the chat. I'm assuming I'm not.
There you go.
Okay. Yep. Okay. All right. Cool. Yeah. And so
here you go.
There we go. Perfect. Okay. And so next week, we're going to have about 15, 20 minutes of folks coming in, joining the video to do some live Q&A with us. So if you are interested in that, and I hope you guys are, because Sumner did that one time and I thought it was really, really cool. And I think a lot of people enjoyed it, just kind of coming on and you know, chatting back and forth. Just shoot me a DM in Discord or shoot Dennis a DM in Discord, and we will make sure that everything is aligned next week to kind of come on and just shoot the shit, you know?
Yeah, let's do it.
Get some questions answered.
Yeah.
Love it. Okay, so what is land investing or land flipping, right? It's what it sounds like. And I think of, you know, and you can answer this on your side too, Dennis, of all the, you know, entrepreneur ventures that you've done, you know, and I've done some before that have failed prior to my short-term rental business.
I failed in many too.
You fall on your face a lot and you learn. And so there's value in failing. But I think this is the most simple business, I will say. It is not the easiest business, but it is a simple business, right? Once you get the machine going and you get your folks in place, it is literally a cash printing machine. I have a group message with with my acquisition manager and a good friend of mine who invests in the deal. Sometimes it's literally titled cash printing machine in the group message. Because it is an active business. Don't let people fool you and say it's passive. It's a very active business. But it is a very, you can make a lot of money in it pretty quickly. Pretty quickly. Yeah. I know I've been in it for, you know, 9 months now, full cycle, like acquisition, disposition, wire hitting the account. We've done a little bit over $240,000 in just that short amount of time. And that is net. That's net profit. So that is amazing in any kind of business that you can make that kind of money in under a year. So that just lets you know what is possible in the business. And it's not a huge team. It's me and my acquisition manager, right? So it just kind of speaks to it. And we have almost half a million in the pipeline right now, in addition to that. So it's a business that you can make a lot of money in, and it's an active business. What's your view on it, I guess, Dennis?
Yeah. So the thing about this business is everybody thinks like it's quick money. I'm going to make money today. I'm going to be a millionaire by the end of the year. And while you could probably make $1 million in a year if you are driven and have the money and like set aside to do all the marketing, there is time delay in this business. Like it does take about 6 months to really see these things come to fruition. So like most people give up after 3 months. They're like, it's not working for me. Well, you know, you can give it enough time, right? And you do have to come to the table with a little bit of money to kind of play ball if you're really going to build your own business and market. I think it's a great business because it's an arbitrage business. We're helping people basically solve a problem. Okay. We're buying properties that people can't or just don't have the time or just need money, whatever the case may be. We're buying it low and we're selling it high. That's what we're doing. So we buy it for less than, 50% of market. We sell it at 90 to 100% of market and try to turn it fast. So instead of them waiting on the market, we do the waiting. That's pretty much the business in a way, right? We decide we're going to wait on the market and let an offer come in and then let them kick tires, whatever. That's our job. That's our business. Okay. It's very simple if you think about it, especially if you're disposing with realtors. It's mostly just an acquisitions business at that point. So that simplifies half your business right there. But this business is really good because if you're focused and driven and actually do the things, you can make a lot of money quickly. But it's not easy. It's not like you're not going to just walk in and just start making $1 million. Like, you have to be active. You have to get on the calls. You have to do the things. You have to talk to title companies, talk to sellers, talk to realtors, all that stuff. It's a lot. But it's not inherently hard, because as you iterate and you keep going in this business, you kind of really start picking up on the little things, and you start picking up like, oh, I've dealt with this probate issue before. Oh, I've dealt with like my deed not getting recorded by the owner. And, I've dealt with this before. So I just got to go record the deed and now I can buy the property. It's like little things that most people would walk away from. Like, but that's what we're doing. We're problem solving for them. So it's a great business in that sense. Now, nowadays, I'll say, like, coming into this for most people, it's way easier to do this business now because of tools like Land Insights that have like all the data, the scrubbing and everything like that. And because of like all the little things, like Land Insights is just kind of like taking everything that we need, bundled it up together and just made it like one perfect package. But we'll go over today, like our tech stack and all the things that you really need to make this work. Because if you don't have the budget for it, you don't need Land Insights today. There's ways around it. I did a whole 90-day zero to hero thing with Sumner. It was awesome. And I did not use Land Insights because that didn't exist yet. For Kay, you came into this, Land Insights was already there. It was already going. So you were able to kind of come in and just like, oh, I could use this. This is great. Right. Yeah. Which is awesome. But basically, yeah, this business is great. You're going to find success if you want to be successful. It's really the best way I could put it. So
someone listening, Dennis, and they haven't done a deal yet, and they're new, maybe they haven't chosen an education program yet or coaching yet. Explain to them when you say buy under market value, explain the different types of land in this industry, high level, right? The difference between them, maybe some pros and cons, and then maybe high level, the dispo strategy, right? Like, what are the types of land that we're buying, and like, how are we selling it for more? Why would they sell it to us for less, and how are we selling it for more, right? What's the in between?
Okay, so I'm gonna actually just pull up a map real quick, and I'm gonna show you really quick like the type of land we kind of deal in. And let me just pull this up. So let's just go here. Let's do this, and I'll show you. Okay. So there's different types of land. If you guys don't know, we have share screen. Sorry, I'm a terrible multitasker. Share. Okay. So we have different types of land in just in general, right? When you look at this map, right? We look at this big old map in North Carolina. Let's just start here. So we look at this. Okay. So all this white area. This white area is like the developed area. Okay. So when you look at a map, you see this white area. This is all developed land. This is what we would call infill lots. Okay. So like this is stuff that right here, there's a little subdivision right here. So we could go here and you could see like house, lot, house, empty lot. So these are what would be called like infill lots in a subdivision. And this is a specific type of land category you could focus on. And what you would do here is you would come in here, pull these lots inside specific subdivisions, and then purchase them at a discount and market them to a builder. Then a builder would go and build a house, whatever. So your exit for this property is to build a house, right? That's pretty much the only use case for this property. Or maybe like the neighbor buys and expands the property, whatever the case may be. And then, they have a bigger backyard. So that's like category one. That's your like infill. And then number two would be like, when we're looking at this map, you see how right here, this is all the white area. Well, right outside of that, we start seeing this green. This green is more rural, right? So we call this rural infill. So we might have a subdivision out here where these lots have like 5 acres, 3 acres, 10-acre lots, and it's a single house in this like 10-acre lot. It's not as developed. There's not as much happening here as far as like development wise goes. But this is like kind of path of progress, future land, where developers will start as they grow this city, like Raleigh, they would grow this. Like we could see that kind of happen in Durham, right here. This little neck right here is growing into Raleigh and Durham. They're kind of connecting in a way. It's going to take time, but it will connect eventually. But like all these little markets right here, this is like rural infill out here. That's another subset of land, right? And you could just focus on that. Your exit typically is the same thing. It's infill lots with builders and things like that. But you're probably going to deal with like 3+ acres, like 3 acres, 10 acres, stuff like that. You'll see some like 40 acres and stuff like that. And that's like good kind of like subdivide plays where you chop it up into like 5-acre lots and sell it to, buyers or whatever, or builders, whatever the case may be. And then what I like dealing in is rural recreational. Okay. Rural rec is like from right here, you got this main highway that runs around Raleigh, all this stuff way out here, typically like 40 minutes to 2 hours outside of major metros. So like if you were in the city center, 40 minutes out to about 2 hours out, it's typically your rural infill. Your rural recreational land. And what rural rec is, they might come in there, they might build a house on 60 acres. They might come in there and just buy some hunting property. People might park an RV out there, throw a mobile home on it, add a little second little cabin that they go. It's like a weekend retreat kind of thing. Or maybe they're a white collar worker that is like a, like a school supervisor or something like that, superintendent, and they don't want to live in the town that they're the superintendent in. So they drive an hour to their 20 acres and they build their 5,000 square foot house out there and they drive an hour in and out. That's kind of like what we plan. So our exit strategy is more because we're not just selling to a builder. We could sell to hunters. We could sell to this. We could sell to that. We could sell to people who are doing solar. We could sell to people who are doing, doesn't matter, whatever. So I like
buyer pool, right?
Yeah, rural rec is a bigger buyer pool. It sounds counterintuitive if you think about it, because you're like, well, infill, that's where everybody lives, right? But you could only do one thing, is build a house, and if that lot is not buildable, there's nothing you could do about it. It's just unusable land.
I started in infills just because it was something I was familiar with. You could wrap your head around it. And the great thing, there's pros and cons, right? The great thing about infill lots is that they sell quickly, right? Mm-hmm. You do have to know how to do your due diligence. But if you're in a metro and you get an infill lot, it's going to sell pretty quickly. And it's typically pretty easy to price it if you're kind of in the same area. That's the thing about infill lots. But like Dennis said, there's typically kind of, that smaller buyer pool for them, but you're going to offload them a lot quicker. Rural rec, and this was new when I joined. I'm like, who's going to buy 10, 20 acres? But I learned really quickly, people love land that isn't restricted. They want to have their chicken farm in the back. They want to maybe do some hunting, that kind of thing. So rural rec is going to have a bigger buyer pool, which is nice. And it may take a little bit longer to dispo than compared to an infill lot, but it's easier to price. It's much easier to price larger lots than the tiny infill lots that are in metro. So just difference there.
Yeah, and there's big disparities too. Like, so some people talk about, well, how rural rec sometimes like takes a long time to sell. Well, that's where market selection comes into play. And that's kind of what we're going to talk about today, is like picking your market is so important, because if you pick the wrong market, you might have a property that's going to sit there for 6 months because you're not. Or I have 2 properties right now that I own. One finally just went under contract. God, it's like whatever. It's been a year, and I picked the right market. It just so happened it was just the wrong.
Was it? Is this the one by the railroad tracks?
Yeah, I just finally signed a contract that I'm breaking even on. Oh my God, it's killing my. I don't understand it, but I don't know what it is. But you know what? That's what happens. It's like my fault, because it was a new market I've never been in. And I didn't talk to the right people. I didn't talk to realtors. I should have had people look at this thing before I bought it, all this stuff. I made the mistake. So I'm the only one to blame. But at the end of the day, if I chose a better market, I would have sold things really fast. So it's all on me, honestly. So when we're picking markets, we got to talk about things like, Kay, you've been crushing it at your market selection. And when I first started doing this, I'm only in this business like 2.5 years, something like that.
Mm-hmm.
Not even.
Mm-hmm.
And actually, no, I'll be 2 years in July. Oh, wait. Yeah, 2 years in July. So, I look at this and I'm like, I used to just go in and, the market's changed, things have changed. So I would just come in and just say, okay, hey, look, this county, there's X amount of land sales, the sell-through rate's this, whatever. I'm going to just select it and then just pull every single lot, not scrub it, mail, and I'm going to get 3 deals out of it.
I did too.
Right. And I thought like that's just how it worked. But now I'm realizing I'm like, man, I wasted so much money on marketing. If I would have just been a little more sniper approach and targeted, I probably could have crushed it. And that's kind of what you've been doing. You've been sitting then in the back end, like, I'm not going to work with Rocketprint. I'm not going to do this. I'm not going to do that. I'm going to focus on doing this myself, learn every aspect so that later on when I iterate, I know every little tweak to do. So like, tell us like, I guess, what do you want to talk about now? Like market selection, or where would we go next?
We can talk about market selection
right?
A little bit, and I just want to say, I think people, and I read some of the comments, I think it's like, oh, Dennis, you're a killer, Kay, you're a killer, but it's like,
doesn't matter.
It takes let's just say it takes 1,000 reps to be good at something, right? And we could say it takes 1,000 phone calls to be good at cold calling. It takes 1,000 deals to be really proficient at it, right? Some of us are going to take a year to do 200 reps, right? So it's going to take a lot longer to get to that 1,000 mark. But some of us are going to put our heads down, eat, sleep, and breathe this, and we're going to knock out our 1,000 reps in like 6 months, right? Yep. So everyone's different. Everyone has a different budget, a family situation, how much time and effort and energy they can put into this. So if you compress your time because you're fully immersed in a business and that's all you do, you're just going to make your mistakes a lot quicker, learn from them, and grow, right? Or it can take you 3 years to do that and make your mistakes and grow, right? So I think every investor goes through the same hurdles. It's just how quickly you're going to go through them, right? And starting with good education, starting with a good community like LIA and Discord is really, really helpful. Investing in coaching is going to be super, super helpful to kind of allow you to kind of have that cheat code and skip those mistakes and move forward. So, and also, like, a lot of people say they want a lot of things, but they don't want to pay the price. They don't want to do the hard work. On the weekends, they're hanging out with their friends. You know what I'm saying? They're doing this and doing that. So it takes hard work and it takes dedication and it takes consistency. Like I remember the first 3 months I was under a rock. Like I was, in my office, like literally all day, all the time. Like I was doing nothing social. Not everyone can do that, right? But I think that's why I kind of like made those mistakes really, really quickly. Because same thing. I was marketing, counties based on population and growth, which are decent metrics. But I started getting a lot of calls when I sent that first batch of mailers of landlocked stuff, of commercial land that was just shit that nobody would buy, just all kind of stuff you don't want, stuff in wetlands and all that stuff. So it takes time and it takes consistency. And I think I see a lot of people start something in this business and say a marketing channel or a dispo strategy or an acquisition strategy, and they find out, man, this is hard. Like they reach a point where something is considered hard, right? And that's just your pain tolerance, right? Because your skill set just isn't there yet, and that's why it's hard. But instead of like getting through that, it's like, oh, I watched a YouTube or I saw something on Facebook and they're texting and they're killing it, so I'm going to switch over here. And then they're doing texting for a month. They spent money on launch control, all the things. And then they do that for maybe 4 or 6 weeks. And it's like, oh, that's not working for me. So let me try, something out. So let me switch to messy title. Or, you're going to run into that same pain point in all of those different things, right? And you're going to look back in 6 months and you really haven't gained any traction because you have switched all these things instead of staying with one thing. So I just wanted to say that really quick. And you asked me a question before I went on that. tangent.
If I could remember that question, that would be great. Okay, so I think next, like, let's talk about now, like, okay, so we know what type of land is. What is land, right? We know what it is. We know what we're looking for. So let's say we pick a strategy. You pick a strategy. Now let's pick a marketing channel, right? I think both of us are going to both suggest mail, right?
Right.
Because
But it depends on the person, right? I think it depends on the person. If you're coming into business and you have a lot of time, you don't have a lot of money, right? The cheapest way to get into it is just cold calling. If you don't like cold calling, tough, pick up the phone and cold call. You can literally do a demo to get your data. I think you can do a demo of Land Insights and get 1,000 free leads or something like that, right?
Literally, yeah.
There's your data right there, and it'll be scrubbed for you. That's 1,000 leads, and you can sit there on your cell phone. You can call them, right? So that's literally getting into the business with almost no money. To be honest with you, get into a community. Ask questions if you have questions. I have never seen such a supportive community than the LIA Discord, to be completely honest with you, especially in like the real estate space and wholesaling, flipping, and even short-term rentals. You get in these online communities and people aren't super supportive, but I will say that it costs nothing to jump into be part of the LIA Discord and get in there and get in the community. Super helpful.
There's the Discord or the Facebook. They're both completely free. Hop in there and like you could ask questions. The coaches, us, we're all in there, and we're gonna answer your questions. We don't just leave them because you're in the free one. No, it doesn't matter. The only reason why there's a difference between a paid group and a free group, the paid group are looking to build a bigger business and grow and actually like accelerate and do all their things. That's the whole goal of it. But if you're looking for your first few deals, get in the free groups, start asking questions, start learning about this stuff. And then the 0 to hero is like, Sumner puts it on sale all the time. Like you get it for like peanuts sometimes. So like just get it.
It's been on sale forever.
Yeah, it's like consistently he like loves selling that thing for cheap. I'm like, come on, man. I have no value.
And even the YouTube channel, to be honest with you, like if you go on the YouTube channel here and you look at some of the playlists, there's a ton of free content in there. There's a ton, right? Like a lot when you start like paying for Land Insights, it's expensive. Like it is. It is. So if you're coming into this and you're like, okay, should I pick, cold calling or text messaging or mail? It's really going to depend on your situation, right? So if you're coming in with hardly nothing, I would say cold calling, and that's hard to do. I wouldn't cold call. If I had to, I would.
Right?
It's not gonna lie. If I had to, I would.
Yeah.
But cold calling is like a very easy way to get into the business. Text messaging would be next, I would say, in my opinion. And then there's mail, right? Which is the most expensive marketing channel, but it's going to bring you the most qualifying leads.
Yes, that's the
and
biggest
it's the most passive marketing channel in comparison to cold calling and text messaging.
Yeah. So like I love mail because I'm sending them a blind offer, and there's different offer types. We have blind offer, which is basically like your price market. Send them $50,000 offer, or there's range offers, which is like, hey, we could pay between 40 and 60,000 for this lot, or neutral, which is, hey, we're interested in buying your property at X, Y, and Z, whatever. So those are like the 3 different types. I personally like a blind or a neutral. I mean, a blind or a range offer. And I think, Kay, you do a lot of ranges, right? That's like your main thing.
Yeah, that's all I do. And honestly, that came from me not being super confident about pricing. Like I'm like, let me just put a nice range on here. And it kind of evolved into, when they get it, it gives you kind of an option to give them like the double close option or the quick cash option. And it also doesn't shut it down right away. They open it and they see that there's room for negotiation there, right? And so they call based on that because you're close to where they want to be. And that's why I like range orders. But if you have a team of people or you like talking on the phone and you just trying to get those conversations started, neutral orders work too, right? So
yeah, I like range. Actually, that's one thing I'm going to be changing in my business is I'm going to be going a lot more range offers. I've been doing neutrals, and we saw our KPIs going down for the response rates. And I think it's partly because of pricing. So like, let's say I mail an offer for 55,000 and they're like, I'm not selling this thing for less than 60. Well, I just lost on a deal that's maybe worth 100 grand because of $5,000, right? And I probably could have gotten them at 57 if I just negotiated.
Yeah.
But they automatically just disqualified me immediately. So guess what? I need to change that. How do I change that? Well, send range offers. Send an offer from like 45 to 65% or whatever, whatever your range is, and let them call you and then show that, hey, I'm willing to work with you if you're willing to work with me, kind of thing.
Yeah.
And then you present cash 45, 65 for double close, and that's it. And then it gives you room to negotiate. So
it does. And putting a little bit of lingo in there to let them know, hey, we know we're not spot on with the pricing. This is a rough range of what we think. Give us a call. Let's discuss it, right? Let them know, like, this is negotiable. This is not, it's not set in stone, right? And I think that's what the range offer does for you. And blind, like, the data shows that blind works. So it definitely works, I just think the range kind of gives them the feeling of, okay, it's negotiable. Let me call them and see what we can do, right? So
yeah, exactly. It also too, because if you have competition and somebody's sending a $50,000 flat offer versus Kay who's sending a 45 to 55,000, you're like, I'm going to call Kay because it looks like she might come up to where I'm at. So they're going to call you first. So, so those are like the main marketing channels. I would say there's other ones like cold emails, things like that I don't think you should touch on until later on. I do some kind of different things for like bigger properties and stuff like that. I'm not even touch on that. But yeah, those are the main marketing channels that we suggest. I suggest if you want to just get started, just do direct mail. It's not hard. Postcard Mania will help you set you up. They're experts at the land investing. They know exactly what to do. They actually have a whole team just for land investors alone.
Yeah, they do.
So like they know exactly what they're doing. You tell them what to do. They'll help get your letter set up. We'll also kind of like drop some tips and stuff like that on what your letter should look like and all that. But absolutely, you should definitely focus on direct mail first, right? It's the quickest way, maybe not the quickest way, but I think it's the simplest way to get started, right? So let's talk.
Also, the most expensive way to get started. It
definitely is. But like the way Kay does everything in house. It doesn't necessarily save her money, but it keeps her hands involved because now she could just change things on the fly. Like if she gets
a meter machine back there.
Yeah. Explain what is that machine? That's your stuffer?
Yeah, it's a meter machine. Yep, it's registered with the post office, and I just slide the mail through it. It weighs it. If we're doing different size mail and all that stuff like that. So
okay, that's pretty cool.
Yep.
So like, what is that whole setup cost? Your printer and your machines and all that stuff. If you're going to do that.
So this is just where we print. The office across from me is a separate office, and it has like all of our materials in there. So all the envelopes, the paper, the ink, the folding machine, and everything in between is in there that we use for marketing in that particular room. And then my mail assistant, he is in there, and that's where he preps everything. Like 8 hours a day, we're getting mail out the door. And we do, so we took on a new market with the new, I didn't take it on, my mentee took it on. And so we're trying to do, well, he does about 3,000 now a week out the door, including the new market.
Nice.
So yeah. And that's, we could probably do better than that, but that's where we're at with it out the door. And it is more expensive, but it has a better, we have more control over it. Literally in the building that we're in, they do mail pickup every day. So it's like whatever is done the night before, I don't even have to go to the post office anymore. They just pick it up here on their daily pickup. So it's really convenient. And, with Land Insights, I can literally, pull a market, think of a marketer campaign, do the market selection, pull the data, print the letters, and have it out in 24 hours, right? And then it'll be at the seller's house, and because we use first class mail, 1 to 2 days. So it's really, really quick. Where our timeline, I was just pulling this data from when we actually send the mail to when a wire hits our account. So everything in between is about 118 days. That turnaround time. So it works really, really well. Yeah.
That's amazing. Yeah. See, now you could do it. It's probably costing you what, like $1 per mailer?
It costs, for our like most basic letter, which is a 2-page double-sided range offer. number 10 envelope, double window to keep it simple because I don't want to print envelopes and try to match them up with the letters. It's a nightmare. We do some creative things on the letter, you know, and it costs about $1.14. Yeah.
Okay. Nice.
About $1.14.
But it's worth it because now you can control everything. Like we'd pay right now for Rocket Print Mail. I think it's like it's like 58 cents a letter or something like that.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
It's cheap. It's very cheap, but it's like a volume play at that point. We're just throwing them the mail. Like we adjust our stuff. We can adjust it, but there's time delays with that. If I adjust it, I got to change things, and then they create a new design. Blah blah blah. It's a whole thing.
I have 15,000 letters sitting with them that I bought last year, and I actually reached out, and I'm going to use them. So I already paid for them, right? I just got to pay for the postage. I am going to do like some testing to kind of see like has the market changed any? You know, does it matter? So I'm going to use those up, and I'll report back.
I just spent $5,000 on mail that completely flopped. I'll tell you that. So we just did ballpoint marketing. We did a handwritten campaign.
Oh my God, I did them one time, and I just
it works for houses. It did not work for land because like APNs and this and that, they can't read it. It's a whole mess.
You can't even read. Yeah, you can't read it.
It wasn't good.
It takes forever. I paid for first class, I think, and it took forever. You know, you get the return mail back to your office.
Yeah,
it takes forever. Yeah,
well, it took me 4 weeks just to get the mail out the door.
Yeah.
So from the time I sent in the list, the mail getting out was 4 weeks. So I did a $5,000 mistake. I sent a whole bunch of letters, did not work. I didn't get a single deal out of it. I got a couple leads, nothing came to a deal. So it sucks, but hey, that's what happens. I should have.
I mean, it's expensive to test things out, but now you know, right? And ballpoint is expensive, right? They're not 58 cents a letter. They're what, $1?
Maybe? It was $1.10 because I used this new hybrid letter they had, which is like printed on the inside, written on the outside. So my open rate was probably 100%, but they probably threw it out because they couldn't read it. That's probably what happened. So you live and you learn, right?
No, you live and you learn. I remember doing an order with them, and I couldn't read the dollar amount for the ranges, but they had already like pushed it through production. I couldn't even change it, and I was like, this is gonna flop. Like I can't even read it.
Yeah, so it flopped hard.
It is what it is, you know. But those guys are great over there.
They're awesome.
They're great. It just, I don't think it worked. It didn't work for me. Let me just say that.
Not for land, because we're sending, if we were just saying, hey, we're interested in buying your land, neutrals, it'll probably crush. But because we're putting the numbers and APNs, it didn't work. So, all right. So we got about 10 more minutes. So we touched on what type of markets it is. We touched on the types of mailing strategies and all that stuff. Next week, our biggest focus, we're going to really focus on is actual, like, okay, how do we pick a market? How do we do X, Y, and Z? All the little things. But today, let's answer some questions, and then we'll leave it open. I mean, do anything else you want to touch on before we start answering questions?
Just really quick, we talked about the marketing. And so in your opinion, somebody coming in, what's the budget and what's the timeline for that budget? And what's the timeline expected for their first deal in those different marketing channels, in your opinion, based on your experience?
Okay. I think, in my eyes, and what I really wholly believe is, to really see success, I think you need to send at least like 4,000 letters a month, right? That's kind of like what I see. It's 1,000 a week, right? It sounds like a lot, but it's really not if you think about it. So KPIs typically, my KPIs are really skewed right now, but it's about like 2,500 to a letter if you're just sending bulk for whatever. I know, Kay, you're seeing like 700 to a deal, right? Something like that.
Yeah. And we're testing out some other stuff too. That it takes a few months though of data to collect. Yeah. So.
Yeah, it does. It takes months to really kind of figure out your KPIs. But like just getting started, you're gonna fumble on deals and all that stuff. You're probably gonna be around 2,500 to a deal, right? Which means 4,000 is probably going to get you a deal, maybe 2 deals a month, if you really work it out like that. So what you have to do to set yourself up for success is not just, I'm going to send 4,000 pieces of mail out. No, I need to budget for 6 months. Can I send mail for 6 months consistently? Is it 4,000 letters? Is it 2,000 letters? Whatever it is, I just need to have a consistent budget for 6 months to be able to find success. If you can't do that, then you really got to either cold call or do something else, because mail's not going to work for you. You can't just send out like 100 letters and hope for the best. It's not going to help you. There is some like snipering you could do where you're highly targeting people and you get really good success. But I feel like a lot of people fumble those deals because you're too new. So there is a little bit of like, let me throw it out there in the beginning, but be a little bit more targeted. And that's kind of what we'll touch on next week too. But what do you think, eh? Like, what are you kind of thinking? How much?
Yeah, I think having a budget of between those 3 marketing channels, I would say between 3 and 7,000 a month for, like you said, the 3 to 6 month mark, I think is important. And what's going to accelerate that, in my opinion, is good market selection. And if you can't afford land insights, right? Because it does cost, but it's worth its weight. Believe me. Is just going on Redfin and Zillow. Those are free. Understanding sell-through rate, which is basically how many have sold in the past year, how many are on the market, right? Understanding that Google sell-through rate, there's tons of information on it. Days on market, you have to manually look at it, but you can kind of look what is selling, how fast is it selling, what type of product is selling, right? It's a manual work, but you can figure that out. Pick a market or pick a few markets in, I would say, the same state, maybe the investor-friendly state, and just hammer that out. Like whatever marketing selection, like marketing tool you use, whether it's mail or cold calling or text, pick a investor-friendly state, not a non-disclosure state, because that's going to make it hard for you. And just hammer that out for the first 6 months, and you're going to see success. Get support in the communities. That is absolutely free. Join the Discord, join the Facebooks, jump in people's DMs, that kind of thing. So that's all I would say to that. Yeah.
Yeah, I agree. Okay. So I got a few questions. Sean, okay, I was curious what acreage range do you typically mail to, and how often do you remail? Okay, so if you're dealing with infill, you're basically dealing with whatever the infill lot is. If it's quarter acre, tenth of an acre, or 1 acre, that's the average infill. That's what you're going to mail. If you're in rural rec or rural infill, typically it's like 3 to 10 is your average, like rural infill kind of stuff. And then rural rec is typically like 3+, right? It could be 1,000 acres if you wanted. Most people see success in the rural infill stuff in like the 5 to 30 acres. So if you're just trying to get started, just focus on those see success ranges, the 5 to 30s, and you'll find your KPIs are going to be really good. Later on, go play around, go send the 100 acres, go send the 200 acres, the 300, it doesn't matter. But for now, focus on what makes you money today, and then focus on that stuff later. What would you say about that?
I would say, yeah, I agree with everything that you said. Infills are not new. They've been around, and people that are very local to metros typically have that market. Whoever's been, marketing there, they flipping infills has been around a long time. I think, flipping bigger land, how we do it, is relatively new. Right. So infill are going to be competitive, especially in the competitive areas, but they are going to sell quicker if you can get one. And what was his question? How often do you remail? I remail all the time.
All the time.
That's just all the time. Like literally, I'll remail somebody every month. Like they reach out and they'll tell me. And in the CRM that we have, it will tell us every time that we mailed them. Right. And sometimes customers don't say anything, and I see that we mailed them 3 or 4 times. It was just timing, right? Or maybe that particular mailer and envelope worked, right?
Yeah.
And so
the multiple touch points is really key.
The multiple touch points, that is marketing basics. People need to see your logo, see your name multiple times, so they trust you. And then I have some people call me and say, "You've been sending me letters. I got like 5 of them. Okay, this is what I want to do," right? So I think wherever you pick, remail it.
Yeah, I remail all the time. I'd say on like a normal basic cadence every 3 months easily. Once you own a data set, you own that. You don't even really have to refresh that. Maybe just go through it every year and just see if anybody sold or changed hands. That's pretty much
every month is excessive. That's a little crazy. You don't have to do that. Probably every quarter, but I hit it.
Well, you're also highly targeting markets and highly targeting areas. I remailed a couple campaigns. It's the 3rd time remailing a campaign. It's all within a month, right? There's nothing wrong with that.
Nope.
So he asked to Georgia. So mailing Georgia, yes, it does have specific language and all that stuff. I get that. We do still see success because guess what? The people that are going to open the letter are the ones that actually want to sell. It's not going to matter if it has that stuff on it or not. Realistically, it's going to get the same open rate because if somebody doesn't want to sell, they're going to probably just throw away that letter that you sent them, right? Mm-hmm. Even if it doesn't have the GA stuff on it, whatever. So we mailed Georgia, no problems. It didn't really change our response rates. Didn't really change much overall. What about you?
Yeah, so we mailed Georgia, and if you're licensed, there's a little loophole, that you don't necessarily have to put that disclosure in your marketing material. So that, not a lawyer, nothing like that, but that is a way to get around it. And if you really want to do Georgia, cold call and text, do that. So
yeah. So this guy's just said, I mail GA properties to out-of-state owners, no disclaimer on it. Okay, yeah, if it's out of state. So that's the thing that people don't understand. If they own a property in North Carolina, but they live in Georgia, you have to have the disclaimer on it. It's where they live, it's location sense. So if you send a list to Rocket Print and Mail, they'll scrub out all the Georgia ones. And they'll say you can't mail these.
Yeah.
Right. So it's not where they live, it's whatever. So if you want to mail Georgia, great. Everybody that's out of state, mail them only. Very simple fix. And guess what? They're going to be the most motivated ones anyways. So it's a better thing for you.
People that get the letters, they know what they are.
Yeah.
Disclaimer or not,
The properties that I bought in Georgia, all the people were out of state. So really you're doing yourself a service if you only mail out of state.
That is a very true remark. And if you are on a tighter budget, having good market selection and then mailing out of county, I did that in the beginning. You have a higher success rate there.
Yeah, definitely. Okay, so AJ asked. So he asked, okay, I'm still learning how to properly pick markets. I have to start criteria 0 to hero, but I can't afford land insights yet. How would you suggest picking markets in real time? Okay, so in 0 to hero, I did this. I actually went and I created a spreadsheet, and basically I looked at every single county in North Carolina, South Carolina, Georgia, Texas, blah, 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 every state. And I basically took all the counties, I threw them on a list, and then I said, okay, how many properties are listed, are active? How many are pending? How many have sold in the last year? 3 months, 6 months, year, blah, 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 blah. And then I did the math. Okay, this, how many active versus how many sold, divided whatever, and that gave me that percentage. And then I basically found out what are my sell-through rates. That's it. It's basically just the reciprocal rate of what's active versus what's sold. That's it. Very simple. And then I went through and I picked my markets like that. And then you could still find success doing that, right? Land Insights is that, but it's just every single county just bundled up into one little ball. That's all it is. So obviously there's a lot more to it now, but that's what it was in the beginning. So yeah, go on Redfin, go on Zillow. Redfin's the best because you can pull the data. You could download all the data from there and then throw it on a spreadsheet, and boom, you have all your sales data, all that stuff. It's awesome.
Yeah.
So that's what I do. We'll touch base on it next week. I've done over 100 videos now. I've been doing this for almost 2 years, like a weekly live. I've done a couple other ones. I've have over 100 videos of like market selection, pricing markets, dealing with problems, doing this, all this stuff in land. Just go on my channel, Dennis Yasko, or go on Sumner Healy's channel. Either one, wherever you're watching this, all the videos are there. You'll see them. So, I mean, Kay, how would you say like picking this stuff and all that? Like, I know you are like a little bit more targeted.
Understanding what that is, again, Google it, right? It's out there. Other industries use it. It's basically how fast the inventory moves, right? And you can do that on Zillow and Redfin. That's free. Days on market. And pay attention to the type of land, right? That you're looking at the sell-through rate and days on market, because that's important too, right? You don't want to go milling, 5 to 10 acres if what's selling is, 20 plus acres, right? So pay attention to that. And then activity, right? In a county, based on the size of it, you don't want 3 sold in the past year, right? That may be a decent sell-through rate when you do the numbers, but like you want some activity. You want some activity too.
Yeah,
so,
we'll talk on that next week too, because there are little hidden pockets of markets that have no activity, like no active listings, but tons of demand. And I'll show you guys.
Oh, I agree. I filter on that in Land Insights. I filter so they have 0 to 1 active, but this super short days on market.
Yes,
like
huge.
And no one's hitting them.
No, because people are like, oh, it doesn't have a 25% STR or whatever. Well, their demand is there because the stuff is going pending in 3 days. Well, that, like that's a huge indicator that there's demand. But there's a counterpoint to that. If you do that, a lot of people aren't selling. So that's
because they know.
Because it's good land. Yeah, so it's not selling. So there's a counterpoint to that. But we'll talk about that next week. But this is good. This is a good intro. Next week, we're going to go actually into like the nitty gritty of like, how do we actually do this, right? This is the overarching of what is land investing. Next week, let's do the actual nitty gritty of like, how are we picking markets? How are we selecting all that stuff? What does a letter look like and all that stuff?
Yeah.
Right. Seth,
and AJ, really quick, you said CRM. CRM is how you keep track of do not call me. Yes. It's going to give you an option to, and we'll go through that too. We'll go through that whole process on next one. And anything that anybody wants to see, shoot Dennis a DM, shoot me a DM. Because for me and for Dennis, like the goal is for this to be valuable to the viewers, right? And to provide value. So we kind of need to know what you guys want to see, what you guys want to know. So shoot the DMs, please. And again, we'll have people coming on doing Q&A next week. So excited about that.
Yep. Awesome. All right. I have to run. I have to go hop on a meeting real quick, but this is awesome. I'm so excited for next week. So please save your questions, drop them to us, send us a DM. We're going to bring a couple people back with us, ask questions live. And we're really going to go deep on this, probably go longer than, we just went today, and really deep dive on this. I want this to be like something that people could come back to. So,
Yep,
awesome.
Absolutely.
All right. Thanks, Kay. It was great. Thanks everyone. We'll see you guys next week. Here you go. Here's the call.